Talk about Joe Biden's foreign policy failures. All right, new sets of polls out. The Fox polls, very bad, but lots of other polls. New York Times, CNN, all these polls. So it's interesting. Disenchantment on the economy, yes, we've known that for quite some time. Prices way up over the last 3 years. But now it's infiltrating on foreign policy as Mr. Biden is being held accountable for mistake after mistake. We're going to bring in our great friends, Joe Concha, media and politics columnist from The Messenger and a Fox News contributor, and Mark Simone, WOR radio host. Gentlemen, thank you for this. I mean, most of these elections are economic-driven elections, peace and prosperity and so forth. But we have so many foreign policy issues here. And I'm looking, Joe, I'll start with you. I'm looking at Joe Biden's numbers, and they're just tanking. They're tanking on Iran. They're tanking on Russia and Ukraine. But people are getting a sense he doesn't stand up to anybody. That was one of the things that came out in the Fox poll. He's too accommodative. So what does this mean, and where's this going to lead? And
we saw that on display in San Francisco. He was very accommodating to President Xi, saying that he took him at his word.
Thank you for that.
Do you think he challenged him on COVID? Because I'm pretty sure we shouldn't take President Xi on his word on COVID that killed more than 1 million people from a virus that probably escaped from a lab in Wuhan. Wasn't challenged on that in any way, shape, or form. He seemed to be hell-bent on getting a climate deal. And you mentioned it before, bears repeating. As China builds how many new coal plants?
300.
300, right. 300. So are they really going to do anything about this?
Which, by the way, I just want to insert, I don't have a problem with that if they want to do clean coal. Sure. It's just a missed opportunity for us. That's all I'm saying. Please continue.
Yes, judge a man on his actions and not on his words. I'll give the floor to Mr. Simone.
No, I mean, look, I've been saying this for the last 48 hours. This China meeting is just a photo op. That's all it is. And the more Biden goes out there, I don't want to rock the boat, I want stability, people scratching their head, huh? China's financing 2 wars against us by importing oil from Russia and Iran. China's running a $350 billion trade deficit. China started the COVID they wanted, I mean, et cetera, et cetera. When's GOP going to wake up and start hammering on this? Better than abortion, my guess is.
Yeah. Hey, compare Trump's meeting with Xi to Biden's. Trump, first meeting, Xi did what he always does. He spoke for an hour. Trump then asked him the most brilliant, insightful questions about what he just said, really impressing Xi. Then he said, excuse me for 1 minute, went out and launched a bombing raid and came back. So
into Syria.
Into Syria. Yeah. Xi knew he was dealing with a very serious man.
Chocolate cake.
Biden, Xi spoke for 2 hours. Biden mumbled something about climate change that was the least pressing thing they could have brought up. So I don't know what his foreign policy is. I can't attack it. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, but the thing is, he keeps telling us that China is someone with whom we can manage competition, okay? Like Europe, for example, or maybe France, or even Canada, for heaven's sakes. But that's not the case. In other words, I want a finer point on this. China is an adversary, okay? China is an enemy. China's running against all of American interests literally around the world, in Cuba, in Central America, in South America, in Africa, and, of course, the Middle East. So that's the part, and I think the public knows that, but I don't see the GOP capitalizing on it.
No, you manage with sanctions, you manage with tariffs, you manage like that if you have to. That's what Donald Trump did and proved it worked.
You know, Joe, that's an interesting point. Now, you may not agree with this, because Bob Lighthizer, terrific trade advisor. But his solution to this stalemate with China, I mean, the deficit's still $350 billion. Unfair trading practices is a big part of it. Lighthizer said we should raise tariffs. Now, you may not agree, I understand. But I'm saying we should take an action. Instead of smoothing it over and making believe that China is not inimical to American interests, Joe Biden should take an action, whatever the actions may be. He doesn't do anything like that in San Francisco.
And Larry, if he doesn't do that, then intellectual property will continue to be stolen.
Yes.
And Russia will still be financed in their war against Ukraine by China. And all you're going to have is this stalemate there where we've spent, what, more than $100 billion there without having any accountability of where that money is going. So until you force China to act in some way or to acquiesce in some way, say, in regards to their aggressive posture on Taiwan, then they'll just talk a good game like they did in San Francisco, which is the cleanest city in the country, by the way. They just, until tomorrow, I guess, and then I guess everybody comes back. That's where we're at this point. But as far as foreign policy, one quick point. Joe Biden's getting hit by the left on foreign policy. He's only polling at about only half of Democrats approve of what he's doing in terms of Israel and Hamas. That's a low number intra-party. And when you see pro-Palestinian rioters attack the Democratic National Committee, that's an attack on the Joe Biden administration as a whole in terms of their posture here at this point. And that's where he's getting hit by more than anything else. Republicans, sure, but Democrats also, from the far left anyway, the ones he needs to win elections, they're the ones who are giving him the biggest problem. So,
Mark, I would make an additional, by the way, it's a great point, but I'd make an additional point on GOP strategy or the lack thereof. I don't want the Republicans to desert Ukraine. That is not my intention. But I would like them to get off that center and start going after Iran. So you have a situation now where the $14 billion for Israel didn't go through. And the State Department wants to unfreeze $10 billion worth of assets, electricity and oil and gas assets, to go to Iran. And China is bailing out Iran and their proxies in the war by buying all their oil. In other words, give Ukraine a rest. Why don't they go after Iran? And by the way, Iran, it's even different from Israel. I know it's all linked, but I think they should go head on Iran, and they're not doing it.
It requires courage. You would have to sanctions, tariffs. You would have to, as you say, stop a ship. They have the largest terrorist training camp in Iran. You'd have to bomb that. This administration,
by the way, General Keane has said that many times. Bomb their training center.
Between Biden and Blinken, you haven't got an ounce of courage to do anything like that.
Where is, let's see, we know where Trump is on this. Where's the junior varsity on this? Or let me rephrase that. Who is going to take the mantle of Republican leadership on foreign policy, apart from former President Trump? Who in the Senate? Who in the House? Whose names crop up?
Well, you hope it's Comer and Johnson, velvet on the surface, steel underneath. He's a tough guy. I bet he could do it.
What do you think?
I think Comer called somebody in the Congress a Smurf this week, so that shows that he's pretty tough.
Called him a Smurf?
Yeah. He says, you look like a Smurf. I forget who he said that to exactly. But we got fights nearly breaking out in Congress at that point, so there appears to be a lot of fighters there. The question is, are they fighting the right people?
Are you ready for the Republican National Committee to seek new leadership, Mark Simone? I have to pitch this because you're always texting me about it.
Hey, she's a very nice woman, Ronna McDaniel.
She is.
And she's now had 4 losing seasons. The Giants had some wonderful guys as coaches, but once you lose 4 seasons, you've got to go. That's it.
Do you know who was head of the Republican National Committee during Ronald Reagan's big victory in 1980 where he carried the Senate with him?
Was it Haley Barbour?
Senator Bill Brock from Tennessee, a grown-up, a businessman who steered now, before that, years earlier, yes, Haley Barbour was very important. Bill Brock, a real heavyweight, someone with hands-on election experience. I agree with Mark. Ron is a very nice person. I just don't see the election experience.
Donald Trump endorsed her, so he may have to de-endorse her in order for her to go. Until he does, she stays. That's just the way it works. He's the kingmaker, or in this case, the queenmaker.
That's the way it works.
Yeah.
Joe Concha gets the last word on
Thank
that. Mark Simone, I expect a full-fledged assault on Iran coming up on all your radio shows.